Welcome to the January 18th, 2026 episode of the Massachusetts Pirate Party News. I'm James O'Keefe, chair of the party. I'm joined today by Steve and Joe. How are you two?
Doing all right?
It is what it is.
Yeah, and that.
So we have, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, we have a couple of events coming up, not just us. The next one is this Thursday. We're one of the supporters for the Black Responses Community Dinner and Shot Spotter presentation on January 22nd, which is a Thursday, at 6 p.m. at the Community Arts Center, 119 Windsor Street, Cambridge. They're having a series of 3 dinners to tell people about Shot Spotter. Shot Spotter, for those of you who don't know, is a series of microphones scattered about your fair community, ostensibly to record gunshots and triangulate their location so that police can be notified and quickly go and apprehend or investigate, apprehend the shooter or investigate what happened or something like that. But there's a lot of false negatives and there's a lot of, and there's a lot of false positives there and some false negatives. And plus, they're literally microphones on all the time. And whether we want to believe that all they can hear are gunshots, well, I don't. So the 2 days after that is the second Cambridge Somerville Pirate Meetup. That was going to be scheduled on the 25th, but that's moved to the 24th at 3 p.m. from 3 to 4 at Diesel Cafe in Davis Square, Somerville. There are some door-to-door efforts on Sunday. If you're interested in helping with those, you can contact us at masspirates.org. And then, of course, that's Sunday in the evening, we have our member meeting. So those are the 3 main events that are coming up this week. And then finally, just so you know, Pirate Council nominations are due on the 30th. So if you're interested in running for captain or first officer or any of our positions, by all means, throw your hat in the ring and with a bio about yourself, and we'll be happy to put you on the ballot. And then February 7th is the next pirate meetup at Tate Bakery in Kendall Square. So this is all at masspirates.org/blog/events.
And you can also download it. You can also download it to your Google Calendar.
Or any other calendar.
Oh, even better.
Absolutely. Thanks, Joe. So our first topic today is about the MBTA terminating its Alewife redevelopment plan. Steve, you had the update on this.
Yeah, so we'll rewind a year to sort of start. 2024, the Alewife T station, the northwest end of the MBTA's Red Line, the big station with a 2,700 car parking garage that we'll just say the concrete is 40 years old and starting to crumble. And in the 7 years prior leading up to that, the T had spent about $76 million to just keep repairing concrete. And they estimated that just simply to keep the garage serviceable over a decade, it would be tens of millions of dollars. So the T did what was actually, I thought, a pretty smart idea. They started a procurement process and basically said, hey, we want to partner with someone to redevelop this site, not just as a station, but also, office space, lab space, shops, housing, etc. Transit, good, solid transit-oriented development stuff. And, so that was been sort of, brewing in the works over the last couple of months. Now, over the past week, the T suddenly announced that it is canceling the procurement project. Their spokesperson said that current market conditions are not favorable to maximizing the property's value for transportation purposes, which is to say, tariffs, cost of construction, materials, and not to mention what's essentially a labor shortage caused by some of our, well, let's call it federal government interventions. What will happen to the garage, we don't know yet. The T has not said this. Banker and Tradesman, another publication, estimates about $250 million to rebuild the garage. Yes, $250 million to rebuild the garage. From an agency that's, starting 2025, again, with a budget shortfall and a legislature that's seems to have mixed opinions on how to make that up or if to make it up. But so it's sad to see this project put on hold. I happen to live about 1.5 miles from it, so it's close enough to be pretty darn useful to me. But hopefully, at some point in the future, the T will, this thing might be revived, gentlemen.
I mean, my opinion on it is that this was a golden opportunity that they should just let people bid on. And, there was a lot of production that could be made to restore it and allow it to become a center more than just a station, but kind of like how North Station is, where there's a lot going on at North Station. You could just go to the North Station and have an amazing day. It was a good opportunity to revitalize that whole area. I know there's a lot of shopping right by there and everything, but that's a major junction where a lot of people gets a lot of traffic, both car and train. So,
thinking about. Oh yeah, I was going to say it's about 5,000 riders or people board there each weekday.
I mean, it's the beginning of Route 2 going out west. It's like the major hub if you're coming down Route 2, which is a major way into Boston. So it's just a critical junction for the infrastructure, and the fact that they're going to table it is a little sad.
It's a bummer. I lived through the demise of the UMass Boston parking garage back in the day. I'm hoping that's not what's going to happen. The way what happened with UMass was, well, they have had a garage under the campus. It had structural problems, and at first they started bolting metal lath, heavy metal screening to the ceiling to catch chunks of concrete that were spalling off. Then later on came timbers and screw jacks. And finally, it was just, they would fence, sections off at a time. And eventually, I don't know if, I haven't been back to campus in a while. I don't know if it's what's still there, if it's just a big underground cavern, but you couldn't park there anymore.
But isn't the entire structure, all the buildings on top of the garage?
You mean for UMass? Or?
At UMass, yeah.
Yeah, a portion of them.
Okay.
Some of the newer buildings have their own garages underneath, which was where people started parking. They turned a couple of athletic fields, I think, into parking lots at a point. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for the last, 40 or more years, we've been living under this imposed austerity to make sure that we don't have the resources to rebuild these structures that we had the money to rebuild years ago. And I just, this is what you get, right? I mean, Cambridge can't go and like, hey, let's print our own money, and it's not like the Fed's going to do it. So
yeah, and I mean, even at more local levels, we kind of once upon a time, the federal government paid for all kinds of infrastructure, and then they socked states and municipalities with the responsibility of maintaining it. And like you said, austerity or just lack of a funding stream, the bill on that shit comes due eventually, and it's not good.
And I feel like it's just going to get worse as more and more cars become electric and fewer cars use gasoline. there
Mhm.
goes the gas tax revenue.
Yeah, and I know this is one of the things the legislature is sort of duking it out. While Governor Healy in the past has been really opposed to things like tolls or usage fees, folks in the Senate they're taking an everything on the table approach. But yeah, the gas tax was supposed to fund road maintenance, and the idea is that people who are using the road buy gas. The more gas you buy, the more you're using the road. So, but then at one point in time, we stopped raising it. We stopped raising we stopped raising it, so that effectively shrunk the pool. And of course, electric vehicles. There are they use there is no they do not contribute to the gas tax at all. So yeah, we need to have a better solution for funding transportation infrastructure. Hint, a 20% of the sales tax has not cut it. That seemed like it would be a good idea once upon a time, and it also has not panned out. So we'll, I think usage fees of some form or another make the most sense, but we'll see.
Is there another bill that she was just pushing through, Helium, saying about mileage fee or mileage tax? I think I saw.
So there is one from, I think it's a senator from Brighton. Her name might be Cream, but they are talking about use taxes on mileage. I mean, this makes sense if you think about what causes road wear. Relative to a vehicle being driven, it's how far you drive and how much the vehicle weighs. So a usage fee based on some combination of distance and weight, yeah, that's kind of reasonable.
Yeah,
And
most
that
of
would
the
be
wear.
sorry.
I was
Sorry,
just going to say, I work transportation. Most of the wear comes from the heavy vehicles. It comes from the trucks. It comes from like the concrete trucks. And I say that with all the love in the world being a driver of such vehicles. It's like most of the wear doesn't come from your four-door sedan. It comes from those trucks.
Well, yeah, that I think the technical term for that is the fourth power rule, which means that road wear is proportional to the fourth power of axle weight. But yeah, you're exactly right. Big truck, more wear.
Yeah.
No need to spin it any further than that.
They're going to start charging me a tax for my little four-door sedan. I'm going to get a pink.
What I was just going to add is, we've seen like New York implemented congestion pricing, and there are surveillance issues involved in that. Whereas simply how many miles, was your odometer at the beginning of the year, how many were at the end of the year, that's the number of miles multiplied by whatever your type of vehicle is. There's your tax. Is a way of accounting for usage without tracking people.
Sorry for interrupting. My concern is that then that puts the burden on all the middle class and lower income families when it's the big companies, it's the massive corporations with all the big trucks that are ripping up the roads, and the little guy's paying for it. It's terrible.
No, it's if you have a 3,500 pound sedan, you pay X. If you have a 5,000 pound truck, or a 5 ton truck, you pay Y. It's not that hard. It shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah, but they always stick it to the little guy in these situations. They always do.
Well, I mean, we're doing it now, right? If we're going and taking a portion of the sales tax, which is a regressive tax, and then using that for transportation, we're already sticking it to people quite directly. The rich don't pay much in sales tax. So,
yes,
go on, Steve.
Last word, I think the bill Joe might have been referring to, it's Senate Bill 2246. Won't go into it now, but we'll just hang it out there for folks who want to follow up on it.
Thank you, Steve.
So the next topic is Greenland, which isn't that green. Joe, do you want to give us an update on what's going on in that icy part of the world?
So I don't want to fall into Trumpty Dumpty's trap. I want to really understand it. And so I've been connecting with some of the people and following some of the people who are really in the military intelligence community. And I want to put to rest that we're definitely not going to war with Denmark, NATO, or any of them. And from a purely military stance, Greenland has a lot of coastal shoreline that we don't want to defend. We have one base there already, so it's not like we really need to go there. And I think Trump, in his infinite stupidity, was trying in his own way to ask for help from NATO countries, which is what exactly in the end what happened. But if we were to go to war with NATO, not only would NATO completely collapse and be a complete separation of NATO, the US would lose before we even shot a single round. And, you know, Trump might be a complete idiot, but the military people and some of his advisors are not complete idiots. And I don't think that's ever going to happen. So I see it as some rhetoric. He's probably pandering to his base or whatever the hell he's doing or whatever the hell he's saying. But it would be one of the worst scenarios for us to go to war over Greenland. And I just want to squash any idea that we're going to be fighting our allies. We already have too few allies in the world as it is. We don't need to lose the ones we have. And I think that it's pretty clear that we're going to need a lot of support if we're going to make sure that our adversaries, our near-peer adversaries, don't take over what is turning out to be a very important shipping lane. We kind of have already started to lose a lot of political world class, and right now we're the world currency. But if we were to go actually fight for Greenland, we would lose out so much. We would crash our economy. We wouldn't even be a first world country anymore. I mean, we're barely holding on to first world country at this point as it is. So I think it's pretty important to state that it's, from our perspective, it doesn't make sense for us to go into Greenland. It doesn't make sense for us to go to war with our allies. And at least a good portion of the country does not want anything to do with that, including a lot of our service members. Do we want help from our allies to defend that area? Most certainly, most definitely. That is going to be a key strategic area as climate change is happening, because we didn't stop that. That's just something. Greenland has a lot of resources, and I definitely don't want to upset the people of Greenland, you know. And if Denmark doesn't want to support Greenland, I'm happy to go out and support the Greenland people, but I definitely don't want to rule over them by any means. I don't want to force them into any decisions that they don't want to do or feel comfortable doing. And I think that's the stance we should take. If Greenland doesn't want to be a part of us, I don't think that we should continue to support the No Kings movement and not be a king or not try and be an imperialist. If they want to be a free people, then I support their rights to be free people. Gentlemen?
Well, I have a range of thoughts on this, but mine are slightly different. I'll start with the whimsical one. Is, wow, this is one hell of a distraction from releasing the Epstein files, eh?
I also agree with that.
Yeah, but I mean, so far, since this talk about Greenland has started, 8 European countries have either started moving ships, personnel, whatnot, or spoken out very strongly in opposition to Trump's stated intention of he needs Greenland and the U.S. is going to take it. These 8 countries were also the the Trump just announced, well, we're going to jack up some tariffs on them. There was a trade negotiation in progress that, from what I understand, ground quickly to a halt over this weekend. Now the entire EU may be considering retaliatory measures, including the invocation of something called their Anti-Coercion Act, but it's basically EU getting together and imposing sanctions, perhaps on individuals or companies. This was enacted to sort of with the expectation that China would do economically coercive things that weren't in the EU's interest, but hey, if it's a tool, they could use it against the United States if they want to. In terms of, I agree with Joe, this would be a complete loss of credibility in a lot of ways, but I don't necessarily think it would be the end of NATO. It's certainly a weakening, but who in the world would most like to see a weakened NATO? Putin, perhaps?
In China.
Yeah, but I think there's, you read it on the internet, so who knows if he really is a Russian asset named Krasnov, but, you got to kind of wonder after a point. Thank you.
I think it's dementia. I think he sees Greenland and it's literally the size of the Louisiana Purchase, and he's fixated on, I think he has this belief of, the U.S. is going to be the fortress Americas, north and south, and they're all going to be under our thumb. We saw what happened with Venezuela, where they've been blowing up fishing boats quite illegally. You're not supposed to blow up civilians, and you're certainly not supposed to have seemingly civilian aircraft blow up other things. But but I think he styles himself as, well, I'm going to go down in the history books by acquiring Greenland and adding to the size of the United States the way Jefferson did with the Louisiana Purchase. And so I think he's just fixated on that. I
think he's going to go down in the history books. I think he will go down in the history books, but not the way he intends to.
One hopes. I don't know if Putin has something on him, but man, it doesn't make sense to me. We literally, I was looking over the NATO treaty, which you can find at, I think, nato.int, and it's pretty much in there. You're not supposed to attack the other members. So to go and say, well, we are going to kick the Danes out of Greenland is just crazy. But I feel like he's an old guy with dementia, and no one's willing to call him on it. We have a constitutional amendment for this. Just saying.
So for folks who might be listening in Canada, the EU, or abroad, anywhere outside the United States, yeah, we're sorry, our president is an asshole.
Well, I'd like to just say two things to it too. One, I did misspeak on the end of it being the end of NATO. I'd say it being the end of our relationship with NATO is probably a more accurate thing, one. And two, I would say that we would lose out economically, we would lose out militarily, our economy would crash, and we would be in a very bad state without our EU partners. I think that there's a lot of unsung things that they do for us and we do for them. And, it would be a bad move on our part. I think the other aspect to it too is that we can't take on the entire world, and we need our allies. And so if we're going to get tangled up, we would not be able to fight Russia and China if it came down to it. We probably could with our allies, but by ourselves, no way. No way. So I don't
Well,
think it's a terrible move. But the one last thing I would have to say to it is that, what was that old saying? Don't account to malice what stupidity would explain.
so much stupidity.
President dumbass.
Yeah, I just want to point out. I just want to point out something. We already, like, the big U.S. base is basically nuclear early warning radar. Sits there. So if we went and invaded Greenland, it wouldn't be that hard for people in Greenland to take down that radar. It's not like the Ukrainians. I mean, the Ukrainians did it to the Russians. Just saying, it wasn't that hard. And certainly France has and the UK and Germany have the missiles to do it. But for me, it's just fundamentally ludicrous, Trump's assertion that we have to take it because if we don't, Russia, who is in a war with Ukraine that they cannot win, and they're losing. I think it was over 500,000 people, 500,000 soldiers. In all the years they've been fighting the Ukrainians, and they're they'll take a square kilometer today and a square kilometer tomorrow. I mean, they're not making huge, tremendous progress. It's not like they're sweeping over the country of Ukraine. There's no credible threat to Greenland from Russia. If there were a threat, we and our NATO allies would go in and deal with that threat. And there's literally no way China's going to do it either. Like, why would China go and take Greenland thousands and thousands of miles away? I mean, it's just, as I said, he has dementia and he's not seeing clearly. And there's no one there who's willing to call him on it, at least publicly. I'm sure their military people are like, well, we really can't do that. So the last topic that we have is the crap that's going on by Customs and Border Patrol and ICE in Minneapolis. One of the things that came across is this article from CrimeThink, who shows up periodically to the Anarchist Book Fair. They're great folks. And when the feds come to your city, standing up to ICE, and it's a lot of good advice for folks there, and potentially Boston. It's not like they haven't threatened to do the same thing to Boston. Thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to say I think the one key thing to take away from this is that citizenship is not does not seem to be an obstacle for these folks. They're detained and ship you out of state first, and ask questions later. There's we've seen sort of a complete breakdown of due process. They are following what are essentially general warrants, going door to door looking for something or someone. Yeah, this is hella job to the folks in Minneapolis. I mean, this shit's bad.
So one of the things that I would have to say if you do encounter ICE agents is the best thing you can do is record it. Even better if you can live stream it in a way that even if they seize your phone, that you can, because one of your best defenses against any legal action, especially an illegal action, is to not put yourself into harm's way. Don't try and get yourself hurt in any way, but to record it and because it is a First Amendment right. And if you record it and if you have it streaming so they can't just delete the recordings by taking your device away, if they use coercion or force on you, Because again, you have a First Amendment right to record it and hold public officials, especially if you're out in a public area. And by doing so, at least give yourself some manner of protection.
I'm just going to quickly shout out to the Lucy Immigrant Justice Network of Massachusetts. This is their page. If you want to help folks in your community, if they get picked up by illegally, picked up by ICE, literally they're just like accosting people in the street, or these people are working in a restaurant and they're just like coming by and just picking them up. I mean, it's just they've broken into people's houses without a warrant, pointing guns at them. You know, it's just crazy stuff that, you know, if the redcoats did this, the militia would be shooting at them. Just saying. So, not that I'm advocating gunfire, but you know, we've been here before. It's, you know, coming up on the anniversary of 1776, folks. Let's remember our proud history. So, you know, shout out to these folks who are doing great things.
Gentlemen, what were your thoughts on my suggestion to record? I know we are typically against recording individuals against their will, but I mean, when it comes to government officials, are you guys okay with it?
No, recording government, recording the Gestapo, doing Gestapo stuff is totally fine. You should do this.
Yeah, I mean, it's public, as long as, you know, you're clearly indicating that you're recording. People are warned, and the wiretap law doesn't apply. So yeah, do it. They're gonna record us, so we might as well record them.
Yes, but sometimes the recordings of us go missing for whatever reason. And especially from a legal standpoint, it gives us evidence or if there's any wrongdoing. Now, definitely don't put yourself in a situation that would cause bodily harm to anyone. Be peaceful about it. Don't sink to their level. Always try and rise above. So,
stay safe out there. Any other thoughts? Well, thank you very much, Joe and Steve. It was a good conversation. And thanks, folks, for watching this recording. We hope you found it useful. You can find us at masspirates.org. As I said, we have some events coming up. We hope you can show up to the Black Response event on the 22nd. You can find it at our events page, all the details. And so with that, we will say adieu for another day, and we'll be back in 2 weeks or so, and our next meeting will be in a week on Sunday at 8 o'clock. And don't forget, if you'd like to help us build the party and want to be an office holder and get things done, by all means, contact us and, you know, throw your hat in the ring. So with that, take care, stay safe, be well. Yeah, it's awful out there, but we hope you're all well. Bye.